ברוב חסדך הנהני באמת אישך. Middle of page 144. Elohai nishama mi'atabi. כל זמן שנשמה בקרבי מודה אני לפניך, אדוני אלוהי ואלוהי אבותיי, רבון כל המעשים, אדון כל הנשמות, ברוך אתה אדוני. המחזיר נשגבות לבקרי מתים. All rise, morning blessings, 146. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לצקתי ונלך אבין בין יום ובין לילה. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בצלמו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשנו בני חורים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם פוקח קברים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מלביש ערומים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מתיר אסורים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם זוקף כפופים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם רוקה הארץ על המים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשה לי כל זרקי. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר הכין מצד הגבר. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם עוז ישראל בגבורה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מוטה ישראל בתפארה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם הנותן ליעב כוח. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המעביר שיניים מעינינו מה מעפעפי. May all be seated. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו. ותננו חיים ובכל יום נחנו לחסד רחמים בעיניך ובעיני כל רואינו ותגמל עלינו חסדים טובים. ברוך אתה אדוני גומל חסדים טובים לעמו ישראל. Continuing on page 152. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו לעסוק בדברי טהרה. ראינו אדוני אלוהינו בית ישראל. בית ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל עמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. A Kibbutz Torah, a Nitzvayim, and a space odyssey. I haven't played computer games in over a decade. The last time I played was an epic involving a starship and galaxy conflict. It required you to slowly acquire wealth for a better ship, galaxy maps, better weapons, etc. Being a programmer, I immediately went into the source code and gave myself unlimited funds to acquire the best equipment money could buy. Putting my Goliath ship against puny adversaries was a breeze, but as the game progressed, the game design provided better and better adversaries. Due to my lack of real training, I became the puny target. No matter how many times I tried to defeat my adversaries, in the end I was space dust. Not willing to start over, I quit. Born with a silver spoon, winning a big lottery, even having lots of native talent, nothing can replace the work and effort that is required to realize the potential of a Jewish life. Today, Idel and Sharon will read from the beginning of Parsha Nitzvayim. It speaks of a covenant, a quid quo pro. I will do this if you do that. It ends in the Maftir portion with these words read by Sept. I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life. Whether understood metaphorically or literally, the message is clear. The desired result is doubtful without the required effort. In the end, with the last Haftorah of consolation read by Eric, Isaiah recounts the reward for building a solid foundation to permit a path forward. Shana Tova. Continuing with Kaddish Rabbanan, page 154. This is the Mourner's Kaddish. Mourners will please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'almadi v'rakirutei v'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeru kol Beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam u'mei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dikudsha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran v'alma v'imru Amen. Al Yisrael v'al Rabbanan v'al Tamidehon. V'al kol Tamidehon. V'al kol madios kin v'oraita. Di v'atraha dein v'di v'kol atar v'atar. Yehi l'chon u'l'chon shlam arraba china v'chista v'rachamin. V'chayin arvikin umtzonervikei umfurchana mikadamu v'hon v'shemaya v'yatra v'imru Amen. Yehi shlam arraba amin shemaya. V'chaim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Osei shalom v'imrumav hu barachamav yasei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Page 168, Psalm for Shabbat. Tov l'hodot l'Adonai l'me'eledecha elyon. Sadikata Hamahayifra Ke'eret Bavanu Niske Shetuli B'Beit Adonai B'Tov B'Aviha Od Yenuvum B'Seva Tishenim Dera'anim Yihu Lehagid Ki Ashar Adonai Zori Velo Avlatabo. Fran will lead us responsively. Penitential Psalm.
The Lord is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I dread? Should an army against me, I would not fear. Should war beset me, still I would conquer. One thing I ask of the Lord, for this do I yearn, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all my life, to feel the goodness of the Lord in the Lord's sanctuary. In God's tabernacle I will bring offerings of jubilation with chanting and joyous singing. O Lord, I truly seek you. Do not hide yourself from me. Turn not in anger from your servant. Teach me your way, O Lord. Lead me on a straight path. Deliver me not to the will of my enemies. Trust in the Lord and be strong. Take courage and hope in the Lord.
All rise for Sukkot Zimra, page 180. Baruch Shamar v'kayah ha'olam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Ozer Breshit, Baruch Omer v'yoseh, Baruch Ozer v'mechayim, Baruch Merakem ha'aretz, Baruch Merakem ha'abriot, Baruch Mishalem Zakatov lefneha, Baruch Elad v'kayam lanetzach, Baruch Bodeh u'matzil, Baruch Shemo, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ha'el ha'av rachman, ha'mehulal b'viyah ha'mo, mishubach u'mefohar, mishubach u'mefohar, Leshon hasidah v'yavadav, shirei David avdecha, nalech Adonai Eloheinu, v'shvachot u'v'zmitot, Bishbachot uvitmihirot Negadel Kamishbercha Gaun Vaherka Benazkeder Simcha Benamnekaka Mahalkeinu Eloheinu Yaqid Peha Olami Melech Mishubachim Before Hadei Hajimo Hagadol Baruch Ata Adonai
Baruch Shema
Melech Mehulav Vatihishbachot. Again, page 190, Fran Ashred.
Ashrei Oshrei Veitecha Odelelucha Selah. Tehillat LeDavid Aromimcha Elohai HaMelech V'Rav Racha Shimcha LeOlam Vo'ed. Gadol Adonai Umhuel Me'od V'Ligaloto Ein Cheker. Hadar Kavod Hohodecha V'Nifrig Lovtecha Asicha. Secher Rav Tucha Yaviu V'Sitacha Yeranenu. Tov Adonai lahakol, v'rachamav kol ma'asav. Kavod malchucha yameru, ugrotacha yadaberu. Malchutcha malchut kol olamim, umamshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador. Einecho elecha yisaberu, v'atam noten lachem ediflam bi'ito. Tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid mocho ma'asav. Rotzei Rav Ya'aseh v'et Shavatam Yishma v'yoshi'em. Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi v'orech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed. V'anachnu nevarech yah me'ata v'yad olam. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, 194. Kol Neshama Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Kol Neshama Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Hallelujah bekocho, Hallelujah berkiahuzo. Hallelujah, beniborota. Hallelujah, kidrov gudlo. Kol haneshama hallelujah. Hallelujah. Kol haneshama hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, beteka shofar. Hallelujah, benivel vechinor. Hallelujah, bitof umalkol. Hallelujah, benim behugav. Kol haneshama hallelujah. Hallelujah. Kol haneshama hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, betzil tzalei shama. Hallelujah, betzil tzalei truah. Neshama hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol haneshama hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol haneshama hallelujah, hallelujah. Following page 196. נשמעת כל חי, דברך את שמך אדוני אלוהינו, קרוא בשר שמנו תקן תמיד, בודע ומציל, אילנת מלך על האתה, ממלך משמלך מדרך לך, אל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון קונה שמיים והארץ, נהללך ונשברך ונפארך, ונברך את שם קודשך כאמור לדוד, ברכי נפשי את אדוני בכל קרובי, את שם קודשו. Good to you, everyone.
We continue now with the cantor, Shochen Ad 218.
שוכן הר מרום וקדוש שמו וכתוב לנו צדיקים בארוני לשרים נבא תהילה בפי ישרים תתהלל ודברי צדיקים תתברך ובלשון החסידים תתרומם ובקרב קדושים תתקדש ובמקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל ברינה יתפאר שמך המלכנו ובכל דור ודור שכן חובר כל היצורים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו להודות להלל לשבח לפאר לרומם להדר לברך להלל ולקלס על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות דוד בן ישי עבדך משיחך ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו שיר ושבחה הלל וזמרה עוז וממשלה הנצח גדולה וגבורה תהילה ותפארת קדושה ומלכות ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות, אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אלכי העולמים.
חצי קדיש 220.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותיה וימליך מלכותיה, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמר קודשה בריחו ואלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Let's all rise for the call to prayer 224.
ברכו את אדוני הבורך.
ברוך אדוני מבורך, לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני הבורך, לעולם ועד. לילה 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 לילה
be seated as you already are. 226.
הכל יודוך והכל ישבחוך והכל אמרו אין קדוש אדוני. אין ככך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולתך מלכנו לחיי העולם הבא. אפס פרצך גואלנו למות המשיח, ואין דומה לך מושיענו לתחיית המתים.
Eladon 228.
אל אדונה לכל המעשים, ברוך ובורך בפי כל נשמה, גדול בטובו מלא עולם, דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו, המגאה אחיות הקודש, בנדר בכבוד על המרכבה, זכות ומישור לפני כיסאו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו, טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו, יצרה בדעת בבינה ובהשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם, להיות מושלים בקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ופיקים נוגה, נעזיבם בכל העולם, שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים באימה רצון כהונם, וער וכבוד נותנים לשמו, צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא לשמש ויזרח אור, ראה והתקין סורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום, תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש.
Page 230.
לאל אשר שבר מכל המעשים, ביום השביעי הלילה שלו כסך ולתת. תתברך משינו עושר ומעשה ידיך, ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפארוך סלע.
234.
תתברך צורנו מגן מלכנו וגואלנו בדי קדושים, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. וכולם פותחים אביהם בקדושה וטהרה, בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים ומעריצים, ומהקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, קדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים עליכם ומלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש רצונם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ובנימה קדושה, כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. והאופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול, ונשאים לעומת שרפים, לעומתם שבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, וברוך ימותנו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, 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 ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, ונזכה ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות.
אהבה רבה, 238.
אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו בעבור אבותינו, שברכו בך אבינו מלכנו. ועד למדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו ולמדנו. אבינו האב הרחמן, המרחם רחם עלינו. ותן בלבנו להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד ולמד, לשמור ולעשות ולקיים מכל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. והאר עינינו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחל לבבנו לאהבה וליראת שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד. בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא, הגדול והנורא פתחנו, נגילה ונשמחה, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך.
Gather our seats and we'll join together Vahavienu 240.
והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו, כי ארבו ישועות אתה, ובנו מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע. באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
Continue individually, 244, 245. Vayomer 246.
Vayomer Adonai Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta alehem ve'asu lahem tzitzit al kanfei bigdeihem ledorotam v'natanu al tzitzit הכנף בצל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית הוריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו ואחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet.
248, 249.
לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים וחיסון נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. אמת שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו גואלנו גואל אבותינו יוצרנו צור ישועתנו בוננו ומצילנו מעולם שמך אין אלוהים זולתך עזרת אבותינו תהו מעולם. I could ask Spencer and Sophia Edelman to come up to the bima. Ashrei ish isha shishma mitzvotecha v'torah dvarecha yasim al libam.
Azot shikol. Rambenisa, Gadolota, Mashpilki, $252.
Tehillah le'el elyon baruch u'vorach Moshe u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira Besimcha rabah v'yamru chulam Mi chamocha bailim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar b'hakodesh Norati lot osefel Norati lot osefel Shira chadasha shibechu geolim Leshimacha sifatayam Yachad kulam hotu vehimlichu V'yamru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Zor Yisrael Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael Ovtechenu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael Go aleinu Adonai tzivaot shemo קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
So we begin the Amidah with Spencer and Sophia. We find ourselves on page 255.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol, Ha'yibur, Ha'nora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avod Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Meitim Ata Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Meitim Berachanim Rabim Sof Mei Noflim V'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Kayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Baal Gevurot Umido Melach Melech Memid Chayei Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Ata Lecha Chayot Meitim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayei HaMeitim.
Amen.
Shah 256.
Mekadesh et shivcha ba'olam Keshem shemakdishim oto mishmei marom kakatov Haya neviecha lekarazel ze me'amad
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Yitzvot, Melocho ha'aretz kevodo.
Az bekol rash gadol, adir v'chazak, mahashmin kol, minasaim, le'yom atzerafim, le'yom atam, baruch Yehomeinu.
Baruch kivod Adonai, min
Minkomcha Malkeinu Tzofia, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון, בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר עמוד בשירי עוזך, על ידי דוד Mashiach Tzikecha.
Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Elohei Sion, L'dor Vador, Hallelujah. L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador, Nagid God Lecha. L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador, Nagid God Lecha. Unetzach Netzachim, Kedushatecha Nagdish, Kedushatecha Nagdish. V'shichacha Eloheinu, Mipinu lo yamush, le'olam va'ed. L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador, Nagid God Lecha. L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador,
L'dor Vador, Nagid God Lecha. Ki el melech gadol, gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh atah. Ki el melech gadol, gadol v'kadosh, gadol v'kadosh atah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh.
We continue individually. 258, 259.
Ohev Shalom, Bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael Ve'imeru Amen. Ose shalom b'mromah, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imeru. Amen.
So, Yasher Koach, Spencer and Sophia, Kaddish Shalem, 268.
יקרא ויצקרא שמי רבי בעמד יברך ירוצ'ה וימליך מלכותיה וחייכון וביום אחד ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי ימיה. יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה ברכות לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בימיו ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותכון ובאותכון דכל ישראל קודם אבוהוני בשמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen.
Folks, in just a moment, we're going to be taking our hafsakah. I know that all of you and each of you go no place without your yardstick. So when you're talking to somebody, just make sure the yardstick fits in between you and the person to whom you're talking. Right? Okay. Enjoy. Okay, folks, I trust you've said everything that you want to say. You've heard everything that you want to hear. Some people have one more sentence to get out. Well, we're in no rush. Okay, folks. Torah service, 3:12.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai, ve'en kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam v'od. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Av harachamim eitiva b'rtzoncha et Zion tibnei chamot Yerushalayim, tibnei chamot Yerushalayim, ki v'cha levad batachnu, melech el ram v'nisa Adon olamim. Vayehi b'tzo ha'aron vayomer Moshe kuma Adonai ve'yachutzu oivecha ve'yanusu misanecha mipanecha ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, u'devar Adonai b'Yerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato.
Turn to page 316, the last three lines in Hebrew.
Ve'benarachet ve'lishme kadisha, kadisha yakira, ana emar tushbechan. Ve'benarachet ve'benarachet ve'lishme kadisha, kadisha yakira, ana emar tushbechan. Yeheira avakodamach tetivtach lebi be'oraita, v'tashli mishalin delebi, ve'lebatech olamach Yisrael, letavu chayin ve'leishlam. Amen.
Turn over to page 332 as we join in together for the prayer for our country. 332. Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings upon our country and upon the leaders of our nation and of our communities. Inspire all who lead and serve to conduct their affairs honorably. May peace and security, happiness and prosperity, right and freedom abide among us. Unite the inhabitants of this country of all backgrounds and creeds, so that we may banish hatred and bigotry, safeguard our noblest ideals, and preserve those institutions which nurture liberty. May this land, under your providence, be an influence for good throughout the world, helping to unite all peoples in peace and freedom, and bringing closer to fulfillment the visions of your prophets. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. For the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness calm and confidence forever. Amen.
Amen.
Turn back to page 320.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai iti, unromema shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagedula, hagevura v'hatiferet, v'hanetzah v'haod. Kihol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, kihol b'shamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, v'hamid naseh lechol rosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'nishachavu la'chomer la'kadosh hu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu, v'nishachavu lehar kodsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
So, folks, I know, first of all, Shabbat Shalom. I know I have not only a tough act to follow, but tough acts to follow of the last 8 weeks. So, I'll do my best. What can I tell you? The Parsha today, Parshat Nitzavim, begins on page 1165. $1,165. So 18 days ago, it's a good number, 18 days ago, my nephew Daniel and his wife Jamie were blessed with a little boy. Thank you. So 11 days ago was his Brit Milah. So only grandparents and the immediate aunts and uncles were there live in person, so I was attending via Zoom. And, once you're on Zoom, you're a little bit removed from everything that's happening, right? You're kind of like removed from it. So while the bris started and was going on a little bit, I found my mind kind of like just wandering a little bit. And I started thinking about, this little baby. His name is Avi Jesse, little baby who's there having his Brit Milah today. Nobody asked him if he wanted to have a Brit Milah, Can't say it was really with his consent, but I started thinking about what's his Jewish life going to be? What's his Jewish life going to be? I could be, and pretty sure he's going to have a bar mitzvah, But as he grows up, what are his own feelings going to be? How's he going to feel towards Judaism? He comes from a very committed, loving Jewish home. But how's he going to feel? Then I started thinking about his wedding day. The poor kid, he's just there, 8 days old. I'm thinking about his wedding. Will he stand under a chuppah? You're like, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? So I want to point out a verse in today's Torah reading. I should say, then he started crying. And it seemed to me he was not only crying, it seemed like he was really shchaying, and I'm saying this mohel, I didn't know the mohel, it's in Washington, D.C. This mohel, he's torturing the poor kid. I don't know, I guess when you're related to the baby, it's every sounds like it's magnified 35 times. So he started screaming, and I stopped thinking about his future. But I want to look, as I said, on page 1166, chapter 29, verse 14. So it says here, but with those who are standing here with us this day before the Lord our God, this is the covenant that Moses is speaking about between God and Israel, and with those who are not with us here this day. Now, who are those who are not with them there this day? That can be interpreted in a number of different ways, but it's usually understood all of the future generations of Israel that are not yet born physically, but their neshamas, their souls are there at Sinai at that moment, and the covenant that Moses is giving to Israel is binding on those who are there and binding to all future generations. We were all at Sinai. I think I've told the story many times that I once met Shlomo Carlebach, only because he was doing a concert. I happened to be sitting in the very last row, and when he walked in, he came over to me, gave me a big hug, and he said, "Good to see you again." And I said, "Great, thank you, good to see you," but we never met before. So this meant that he's happy to see me. When he parted the concert, he's explaining, none of us are meeting each other for the first time. We were all at Sinai together. We were all there. So good to see you again. Okay. This brings up somewhat of a moral dilemma. A little bit of a moral dilemma. Does one generation have the right to determine how the next generation will live? Does one generation have the right to expect that the next generation will live according to the same values that the previous generation holds? You understand? You see these moral dilemmas? In other words, what rights do parents and grandparents have for the generation yet to come? You look at a little baby, can you say to the baby, you'll live the way I've lived my life? The things I value most, you'll value most. And my Jewish life, nothing matters more than that to me. You'll be exactly the same. First of all, I guess before I ask the question, do we have the right to expect? I think the question is, do we have the right to teach our values and our way of life to our children? Do we have that right? Now, once you're teaching, you're hoping, if not demanding, that they're going to live according to your values. But do we have the right to teach our values and our way of life? I think all of us would say yes. You know what? You're not going to say, you know what, kids, learn all different values. When you're a grown-up, you'll decide what you want. No, we teach our way of life. And that great song from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young? Sounds like a law firm. Teach your children. You know the song, Teach Your Children? Which contains the line, teach your children well. It's the only line of the whole song that I understand. The rest of the song, I have no idea what they're talking about, but it's teach your children and teach your children well what you have. But really, the larger moral issues are does one generation have the right to determine how the next generation will live? Let's just talk about in terms of Judaism. We have the right to determine. Do we have the right to expect that they'll live according to our values? You know, I would say that if I were to ask this question 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, I think the answer of people sitting in a synagogue would be yes. Yes, I think that was the basic. And all through Jewish history, the answer would be yes. I think it's only an issue for us moderns, outside of the Orthodox world, by the way, who may have this as a moral dilemma, and whose kids choose a different way of life, and then we're actually faced with the issue of how much do we have a right to expect, determine, and demand. I think most of us would feel maybe that's going a few steps too far. Is that fair to say? Elie Wiesel, while he was alive, had a son. Son's name was Elisha. Elisha went to Ramaz, the yeshiva, same yeshiva that Janie went to and the girls went to until they saw the light and moved to the green burbs of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Had a great Jewish education, grew up with his dad, Elie Wiesel. And I heard an interview of Elisha Wiesel not that long ago, and he explains he couldn't stand any of it. Couldn't stand any of it. And what he couldn't stand most was being in the synagogue. So he made a deal with his father that he would come for the holidays, meaning the high holy days. He only came for the high holy days to shul, and the deal was, could he bring something else to read, because he couldn't stand sitting in the shul and couldn't stand the machzor. So the deal was he could bring something to read as long as it fit inside of the machzor. So people should know. But otherwise, other than that, nobody ever saw him. Did you ever hear of anybody? Elisha Wiesel? Did you know Elie Wiesel had a son? Elisha Wiesel. But then he goes on to tell the story. If that's for me, I'm busy right now. Yeah. Okay. So, but then he goes on like this. His father, he said, my father asked me 2 questions to do in my Jewish life. Just 2 things. One was that I marry a Jewish woman. Number 1. Number 2 was that when he dies, and Elie Wiesel was suffering from cancer, he knew that his time was limited, that I go to shul every day and say Kaddish for him for the year. 2 requests that he had. I mean, Elie Wiesel knew who his son was. Just 2 requests. So he goes on to tell the story that he fulfilled his father's request, 2 requests. And now, when he went to shul, it was an Orthodox shul he went to, he fell in love with it. He had a connection with it as an adult that he never could have as a child. Went to shul every day, became integrated and intertwined into the fabric of the community. And this interview was already a few years after his father passed away. And he has continued to maintain a very loving, traditional Jewish life. So do we have a right to teach? Absolutely. We have a responsibility to teach well. Do we have a right to have expectations? I think we have a right to have hopes. Absolutely, to have hopes. To have expectations, for some of us it may be yes. Do we have the right to demand? Do we have the right to hope? And Elie Wiesel's son is a case in point. Don't ever give up hoping on your kids, because, that day may somehow, some way come, and I trust that Elie Wiesel himself has nachas min hashamayim. He's shepping nachas from his place in heaven. Never give up hope. Okay, we're going to continue now with the Kriyat HaTorah, the reading of the Torah. Folks who are our first aliyah, we have the carpool. Ya'amod ha-carpool. No, that's Jan's department. I'm happy to be back, but I'm not supposed to step on other people's toes, so Jan, it's all yours.
The Silverberg Transportation Authority. Pearl Hindova, Nikolay Burifalea, Eliyahu ben Abraham Yitzchak, Gittel Shengel Bat Rachmir B'Shaya, Ephraim ben Yitzchak HaKohen, Baruch Shezan Torah B'Moshe Shalom, Reikim HaZikim B'Ra'ik and B'Inkulchem,
Let's just wait for the Torah reader to come up.
Amen. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem, rashechem shivtechem, ziknechem v'shotrechem, kol ish Yisrael, tavchem nishechem, v'gercha, asher b'kerev machanecha, mechotev etzecha, ad shoev mimecha, le'avrecha, bivrit Adonai Elohecha, uva'alato, asher Adonai Elohecha, koret imcha hayom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'torenu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Torah.
We are so happy, joyful, grateful, thankful to have Cantor Paul back with us this morning. What a summer it's been of ups and downs and too many downs. But coming up on the bima looking great and feeling better than he's felt the entire summer. So Arlene, if you might come over and join Paul. They're going to, you know what, guys? I think you have to stand over here. We'll have to play by the rules. Oh, over here. Over here.
Okay.
And then face the Torah. Paul. Wait, you want to touch the Torah?
Ya'amdu echazan Yitzchak and Ezra ben Tzvi Zelda, the Rivka bat Moshe Gevora Sheni. Baruch Hu
אשר בחרנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו ברוך אתה
Amen. Leman hakim etcha hayom lo la'am vehu yelechol avotei le'Elohim kasher daber lach ucha asher. I'm on the wrong line here. Yeah. Nishba la'avotecha la'Avraham li'Yitzchak u'Yaakov v'lo etchem livadchem anochi korat et habrit hazot v'et ha'aleh hazot ki et asher yeshno po imanu omed hayom lifnei Adonai Eloheinu v'et asher einenu po imanu hayom.
Now you can come over. Torah reader has left.
Okay.
So, Cantor Paul and Arlene expressing their own thanks for healing and well-being. Let's all turn to page 322, and we'll find the Gold Mail blessing, and then we'll respond where it indicates on the bottom, the very bottom of 322, that will respond. Just give you all a moment to find it so we can all be part of this. Yeah. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hagomel l'chayavim tovot shegmalat gani tol tov.
Mi shegemalcha kol tov hu yigmalcha kol tov selah. Great. Okay, Paul. Great. Welcome back. By the way, there's no hugging on the bima, but, sometimes, what can you do? You feel it, you got to do it, What's that meaning? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Yeah. How do you like Cantor Paul's hair? Huh? Paul, it's so good to see you. So good, really. Keep going strong. Let's offer a Mishaberach for those for whom we pray for their healing and well-being. Those who have a loved one for whom you're offering this Mishaberach. Please rise at your seats, those who are offering it for a loved one. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sared Yivkarach el v'Leah Uyivarech v'Yirapeh et את כל החולים הקרובים לנו אנחנו מתפללים שהקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם להחלימם ולרפאותם, וישלח להם במהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש, רפואת הגוף, לכל איבריהם וגידיהם בתוך שאר חולי ישראל. שבתי מילי זה אוכל רפואה קרובה לבוא, השתה בגלה בזמן קריב, ונאמר אמן.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו, and a source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Great. So we'll turn now to the Maftir Aliyah.
By the way, if anyone was following carefully, the triennial cycle and the annual cycle is identical for each portion.
Yitkada Shemi Rabbi, V'yamad Yivrach Yerutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon u'b'yomechon, u'v'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, Bagala u'b'zman kariv, V'yimru Amen, Yehei Shmei Rabbi Mevarach, Le'alam u'lamei amayam. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'ale v'yithalal shemed kudesha b'rechu le'elam mikol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Tamiran b'yama v'yimru Amen.
So we'll turn now to the Maftir Aliyah, page 1171, verse 18, which includes the words that are most often the basis of the Devar Torah on this Shabbat Nitzavim. We're on verse 19, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day. I have put before you life and death, blessing and curse. Uvacharta b'chaim, choose life, if you and your offspring would live. And connecting it to our Devar Torah this morning, there's no question that we feel that when someone chooses a maximalist Jewish life, that's part of choosing life. Choosing a full, meaningful, loving, beautiful Jewish life.
Ya'amod yitzlach tzvi ruven ben nacham v'rachel maftir hazah.
Perfect. Amen.
הגעתי לכם היום, כי אבוא טוב ודין לא תאריכון ימים על האדמה, אשר אתה עובר את הירדן, לבוא שמה לרשתה. העידותי לכם היום את השמיים ואת הארץ, החיים והמוות נתתי לפניך, הברכה והקללה, ובחרת בחיים, למען תחיה אתה וזרעך, לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, לשמוע בקולו ודווקא בו, כי הוא חייך ואורך ימיך, לשבת על האדמה, אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיך, לאברהם וליצחק ויעקב, לתת להם.
Appreciate that. Thanks, John. Ashloshah devarim, ashloshah devarim, ashloshah devarim.
So we can all be seated. Between Tisha B'Av and the New Year, there are 7 Sabbaths. They are known as the 7 Sabbaths of Consolation, in the Aramaic Shiva Dinechemta. And so, as makes perfect sense, today is the 7th of the 7 Sabbaths. So we'll find this morning's Haftarah 1180. Each of the Haftarot are from the Navi Yeshayahu, the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 61.
I can see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher bachar b'nviim tovim, v'ratza v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboker b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'v'Yisrael amo u'v'v'yei ha'emet v'tzedek. Mizeba me'edom chamutz begadim mipatra zehador bilvusho zo'eh baruch kocho ani medaber b'tzedaka rav lahoshia madua adam lilvushecha Ugadecha kedorech begad Pura dorakti levadi Ume'amim eini shiti Vedrechem ba'api Ve'ermasem bechamati Ve'tzes nitzacham abigadai B'kol mabushai egalti ki yom nakam bilbi hushnat geulai ba'ah v'yabi ve'ein otzer v'yesh tomeh ve'ein somech v'atoshar li tzuroi v'chamatihi samachatni. V'yavim amim b'api, v'yashakrem b'chamati, v'ari la'aretz nitzcham, chazdei Adonai askir, tilad Adonai, ke'al, kol asher gemalanu Adonai, v'rab tuv leveit Yisrael, asher gemalam karachama ukrov chasadav. Vayomer achami hema panim lo yishakeru vayhi lahem lemoshiach b'kol tziratam lo sor. Umalach panav Hoshia Pahavato Upchemlato Hugalam Vayinat lame Vayinat same Koyame Olam Baruch Atanonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Tzor Kol HaOlamim Tzadik b'kol hadorot, ha'el ne'eman, ha'omer v'yoseh, ha'medaber u'mekayim, she'kol devarav emet tzedek. Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devarecha, v'davarecha midvarecha, achor lo yashuv reikam, ki el melech ne'eman v'rachaman atah, Baruch atah Adonai, Hayon ne'eman b'chol devarav. Rachem al Tzion ki hi beit chayenu, v'lalu b'ad nefesh toshia b'mehera v'yameinu. Baruch atah Adonai, v'sameach Tzion b'vanecha. Samkeinu Adonai Eloheinu be'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha u'malchut beit David mishichecha b'mehera yavo v'yagel libeinu al kiso lo yeshev zar v'lo yinchalu od acherim et kavodo ki b'shem kashaka nishbata lo shelo yichben eiro li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen David, Al HaTorah, V'al HaVodah, V'al Hamvi, V'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh, Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, L'kdusha v'linducha, L'chavod u'tifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, anaknu modim lach, u'mvorchim otach, yitbarach shimcha b'fi kol chai, tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Shkoach, Eric.
Baruch tiyah. Baruch tiyah.
Let's turn to our prayer for Medinat Yisrael, our beloved state of Israel. By the way, I'll make it quick. So normally, at this point in the service, we would do the Birkat HaChodesh, but we don't do it as we begin the new year. Why don't we do it? Because there are two types of bodies up there, two types of angels. One is a group called the Kategor. They're the accusing attorneys, and then you have the Sanegor, the defense attorneys. We don't really want the Kategor to be so aware that it's the month of Tishrei coming up. So if there's any way we can keep this to ourselves, don't really tell anybody. So we're not announcing it's a new month, it'll come, we should all be well. Amen. Amen. Okay, 332.
Adonai Eloheinu, Tzor Yisrael v'goalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, v'hagen aleha.
We ask your blessings, O God, for the state of Israel, for the land of Israel, and for the people of Israel. Bless those who defend the land and protect its people. Bless its leaders with wisdom, courage, and dedication. May they be resolute in the face of challenge and unwavering in the pursuit of justice and peace. May Israel be a beacon of hope for the oppressed, a source of inspiration to all who are free. Fulfill in our day the ancient promise. Zion b'mishpat tipadeh, v'shaveha b'tzedakah. Zion shall be redeemed through justice, and its inhabitants through righteousness. Amen. Spencer, if you'll join us back on the bima. Sophia. Sophia joining us on the bima. Okay, Yehalalu 340.
Yehalalu et Shem Adonai, ki niskach shemo levado, odo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarehem keren le'amo, te'ila lechol chasidav, b'nei Yisrael am kerov.
Chaim He with Sophia.
It's Chaim He, Lama Chaziki Ba, V'Tom Echecha, Merushar, Terachecha, Darchei Noam, V'Chol Netivoteh, Shalom, Hashivenu, Adonai, Elecha v'nashua, Hadish Yameinu, Hadish Yameinu,
Shkoach, Sophia. You can all be seated. We're going to turn to our moment of Musa 362.
Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, onei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, onei Shabbat. Mekadeshe shevi Shabbat, kulam yisma'u. Tanigu mituvecha, Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, onei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, onei Shabbat. Asher ratzita bo v'kidashehu Shabbat, Chemdat Yamim, Oto Karata Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, onei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, shomre, 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 Shabbat v'kore, onei Shabbat. Zecher lema'aseh מעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת.
So let's move on to Ein Keloheinu, page 400.
אין כאלוהינו, אין כאדוננו, אין כמלכנו, אין כמושיענו, מי כאלוהינו, מי כאדוננו, מי כמלכנו, מי כמושיענו. נודה לאלוהינו, נודה לאדוננו, נודה למלכנו, נודה למושיענו. ברוך אלוהינו, ברוך אדוננו, ברוך מלכנו, ברוך מושיענו. אתה הוא אלוהינו, אתה הוא אדוננו, אתה הוא מלכנו, אתה הוא מושיענו. אתה הוא שהתירו אבותינו לפניך את קטורת הסמים.
Aleinu 402.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגדולי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שמו חלקנו בהם, וגורלנו כמו המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשחררים ומודים בפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהונות השמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשם יקרוב בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת זו יגלה מרומים. O Eloheinu ein עוד, את ממלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות האלף אביך, היא אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד, אין עוד. אוקיי, נקווה לך. כי המלכות שלך היא עולה מאה תמלוך בכבוד, כך כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
I was just going to say that I failed to bring the yurtzeit list from home, and at home it is sitting alone and lonely. But the cantor is all set. So the cantor walked over to hand me the yurtzeit list. Annalise, you must have had a sense that I forgot mine. Or I just looked lost. One of the two. Thanks for saving me. Once again.
We're a team.
So let me announce the names of those who have observed Yortzeit today and during the course of this past week. Abraham Scher, Esther Kaplan, Gary Feiner, Kate Bernstein, Harry Warren, Jacob Solaf, Jack Shapiro, William Rosenzweig, Stanley Jaffe, David Stack, Marcia Wishnoff, Ilona Rosner, Maurice Packman, Rhoda K. Kleeman, Emily Goodhart, Richard Ross, Fayina Parkansky, Samuel Palavoy, Beatrice Green, Herman Glantz, Maurice Berkowitz, Jack Barbash, Sadok Arwas, Walter Meyer, and Pauline Goldstein. Okay, we don't have the list of those whose families are in Shloshim or
Yes, I do.
meet you halfway. I should have known. So within the days of Shloshim, family of Benjamin Hoffman, Harold Kurtz, Lou Chaifetz, and within the year of mourning, Rhonda Silverman, Ed Rosen, David Aronson, Mara Lifshitz, Mildred Klein, Jeffrey Berlin, Hollis Cohen, Donald Golden, Michelle Fields, Joel David Kaplan, Sandy Goldstein, Charles Chuck Steinberg, Lily Zimmett, Robin Solis, Beryl Gottesman, Stephen Springer, Mordechai Glickman, Larry David Wiener, and Evelyn Wiener. And Jerry, I know that today is your dear mother's Yortzeit as well. May her memory be for a blessing. Rose Rosenfeld, Hannah Steinman, Sheila Tannenbaum, and Jerry Delson. Each of their memories continue to be cherished as a bracha, as a blessing for all those reciting Kaddish Tom. (410) Yitkadal v'yitkadash me'rabah Biolama divrach yagutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'bizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach v'olam ula'almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'ole v'yithalal shmei d'kutsha b'rechu ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'olma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'yapol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yapol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Friends, I'd just like to take a quiet moment for us to hold in our hearts all those who were tragically killed from this storm Ida in the Philadelphia area, New Jersey, in the New York area. The greatest amount of lives were lost in New Jersey, actually. And in New York, there was one rabbi on his way home. With no chance to escape, because once the waters come high enough, you can't open the door, and that's it. And you know what always is the case that those on the bottom of the economic ladder, those who are struggling to get by to begin with, they're always the ones to suffer from whatever happens. They suffer more. So all those who were eking out, living in a basement apartment with no idea that this would be as violent as it was. Also, before they knew it, the waters came over. There was no higher place for them to go. So we think of them and their families. This last week we did those whose lives were lost as part of the exodus from Afghanistan. So many people suffering. Every day some 1,500 people dying from COVID unnecessarily. I think close to 100% of the unvaccinated, but that doesn't decrease the sadness and the sorrow. Day 1,500. Okay, we hold on to each one of them. So, in case you didn't hear, Monday night, we start at 6 o'clock. The new year will all be on Zoom. Tuesday morning, wherever you are, Zoom, live stream here in the synagogue. We all start at the same time, 9 o'clock. There will be 2 tashlichs. At 4 o'clock, there'll be a Western tashlich with a cantor. It's at what is known as Kemper Park, and it's very close to Valley Stream area there. You know, it's if you go west on Street Road, right before you would make the turn into the shopping center Valley Stream, there is a right-hand turn Valley Stream Road, Drive, Avenue, Cantor, what is it? It's Valley Stream something. Road. And that'll take you to the Kemper Park, where there's water and little things living in the water. And don't bring any food to throw in. Cantor's going to be supplying that herself. And then, for those living on the eastern branch of the Ohev Shalom parish, we're going to have a simultaneous tashlich out here. I trust that the area has been mowed, so I can only hope. I'll take a look, and plenty of water in the stream. Too much water. Okay. Lulav and etrog orders for those who are amongst the 5, 6, 7 people who order the lulav and the etrog. Announce it to everyone. The order ends on Monday at September 12th. Ohev Teenies, Sunday morning, 9:30, beginning at October 24th. You are kidding me. Really? I didn't make this up. This is October 24th. Okay. Thursday, October 14th, Adult Ed presents Arlene Spector, presenting 2 Jewish architects. Okay. Most important thing are Rosh Hashanah and then Yom Kippur services. Great to be together, folks. Great to see you. Great to be together. You know, it just doesn't work. It's horrible when we try to sing together on Zoom. But here it's beautiful. It works perfectly. It's as nice as it gets. It's really beautiful. Yesh koach to Spencer and Sophia. You guys are number 1. You're both number 1. How can you both be number 1? You are. That's it. You're number 1, Spencer, and Sophia, you're number 1. Great. Beautiful. Okay. Cantor Adon Olam.
Adon Olam Asher Malach V'tereko Yatzir Nihira Li'ed Nasa B'chetzoko Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Li'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimnog Norav misra, velo hoz v'hamisra, vehu eli v'chai goali, v'ksor chavli, v'yetzara, vehu nisi, umanos li, menakosi b'yom ekra, menatkosi b'yom ekra, be'ado akidruchi v'yetishan ve'ayira ve'imruchi kebiyahati Adonai li ve'lo ira Adonai li ve'lo ira.
Friends, I know that many people will ask you, so how did you do on the rabbi's first Shabbat back? How did you do? How did it go? Please just tell them one thing. You finished by 12 o'clock.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom Mevorach.
Shabbat
Shalom, everyone.
A good year, a good year.
Yes, thank you. Having another person is throwing me off. What's that? Having another person is throwing me off. I'm sorry.
Shabbat Shalom, Mimi. Annalise, let's just take that Torah.
Yeah.
One of the countries down in Florida. So you do conflict. They're going to go to the stream, obviously, that runs through the golf course. So they're going to, everybody has to go to the golf pool into the water. Okay? On the third golf pool, they keep off in a certain spot. Whoever gets their closest to a particular tee.
Only in Florida. Only in Florida. Shabbat Shalom. Actually, it's going to take me 3 minutes to learn the Torah, but no, Matan. I have a couple more things to send to you.
Okay, super.
This goes behind the
I see her in the back every week. So we were at the very end of the Torah. And we were on that's why we're rolling. It's going basically. Yeah, come in a little bit. Hold the tight. Come in a little bit. Okay, now let's. One more time. Are you in training for our next one?
Yes.
Been there, done.
Oh, really? Okay, that's great. That's on the site.
This will be the second day.
I'm very lucky, yes.
So what's with the shoulder? Top shoulder cuff?
I have no idea what it is, but I don't know what years
I had surgery on both shoulders. It was just where they clean up the bone. I've been doing it nothing like France, we put it here. Like 3 days later, I felt fine. And I felt fine for the last 10 years.
That's the way to do it. Kendra, can we leave this in your good hands?
I'll see you next year.
See you next year. God, really? Excuse me, Rabbi.
So each one of these is one mask?
No. So each one has 5. See, I'm going to take one out of the package. You're going to take this.
Okay, great.
Right,
Thank
so
you.
that's what this is. You see this, right? So this goes in your chin. This goes on your nose. Right, yes.
So you want to be with the cat for the fire? Who's that?
I'm sorry?
Who's
Right.
you going to be to the creek over there?
So Rabbi's going to be here in the creek. That's on the corner. I live close to that. I'm in Warrington. So I'm thinking I'm across over by Temple Court.
I see him there.
Oh,
My house is behind my house.
oh,
I got many orders in my house.
yeah, yeah. It's so close to my house. I got one of the ladies here. Do you get one?
The garage, not from the plate, from the front. Because the sewer, the thing was that will go like that around the garage, a little bit in the front door. In the back, I have a fence, it was over the fence, not close to the side. Oh, I mean, it is itself, but I never got it.
Yeah.
Not even good at that. That's why. That's, I have no papers. That's what I have.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'm close to that. I'm carousel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm on Bristol and Select. So I'm
That's
right.
where you are?
Right, you know that plaza is where the Fridas and Dollar. I'm next to it.
I go to the gas station, I go around, then I go to Laptop. You used to
I used to live in Warrington.
Cranston.
Yeah, Warrington.
Right?
I used to live by the Walmart in Warrington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right to Cranston.
Yeah.
They will